Today, we're talking about how to leverage the power of live streaming on YouTube. My name is Nick. I teach people how to grow YouTube channels, make videos, and all types of other YouTube and video related things, but I'm also an avid live streamer. I absolutely love live streaming, and it hasn't really always been that way, though. It just kind of happened over a period of time, which I'll get into here in just a minute. But when I first started on live streaming, I did my first stream as a thumbnail tutorial, and it was a thumbnail tutorial on Photoshop. And the reason that I did this stream was because I wanted to learn the streaming software so that I could make videos about it on my YouTube channel. And when I did this first live stream, I had 2 or 3 people come through the stream, and I got really excited because I was thinking to myself, like, wow, there's actually people here watching me right now. And it really, got me excited during that moment. But it didn't get me excited enough to keep live streaming. And live streaming, really, to be honest with you, it wasn't even part of my plan when it came to my YouTube channel. But all of that changed on February 7th, 2017. So YouTube released a feature where you could live stream from your mobile phone. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, Brian G. Johnson. And during that conversation, Brian said, hey, YouTube just released this feature. You have the subscriber count for it, which I think was around 10,000 subscribers at the time. You have the required subscriber count for it. Do you have the feature? And I said, yes, I have the feature. And I looked on my phone. I was like, yeah, I have it. And I was like, dude, I'll get back to you here in a bit. I'm going to go in the other room and I'm going to live stream. So I went in there, I turned on my lights, and I sat there and I live streamed on my phone for 2 hours and 11 minutes. The only reason I stopped was because the battery died on my phone. Now, what that stream did for me is it really lit my fire when it comes to live streaming, or it just showed me, I wouldn't say it lit my fire, it just kind of showed me the activity that can happen around a live stream and showed me the cool opportunities that you can create from live streaming. Let me give you an example. So when I went live here, right out of the gate, I started having people pour into the live stream. So instead of having 2 or 3 people like in that original stream, I started having a lot of people show up in the live stream, which was exciting by itself. But I also had somebody from the industry come in that I respected and hadn't had a chance to talk to yet. And they came in and they were interacting in my live stream and they were asking me questions. And at the time I was excited about it. I was like, oh, hey, I can't believe this person's in my live stream. What's up? And then it kind of opened up the door, so to speak, for me to reach out to them. And, we've become friends since. But when it comes to live streaming, this particular stream really set me off. And it was 1, the opportunity, 2, the activity, but 3, I had such a good time while I was live streaming that, like I said before, you can see here on the screen, I streamed for over 2 hours, and I would have kept going if it wasn't for the battery on my phone. So this one really did it for me. And you can see here, that right there was that live stream. And from that point forward, these are live streams. I started live streaming all the time. And again, I was just in love with live streaming. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great way to make easy content. And I thought it was a great way to interact with my community and add direct value to people based on the things that they cared about instead of just throwing a video out at them and making stuff that just I cared about. But basically what that led to is a show that we do every Saturday now called Nimmin Live. And Nimmin Live is what I do with my brother D. And currently, at this point in time, at the time that I'm actually saying this, we're actually in 2 separate countries at the moment. So I'm doing these solo or as group streams on my channel, but still putting them out every Saturday. And during these streams, we answer YouTube questions and we go through a process where we have a lot of banter back and forth, but it's a really loose experience and it's made for the sake of being a hangout, right? So basically it's a place for our community to meet up every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern and hang out, talk to each other in the chat, ask us questions, and have some banter going back and forth as well. You'll see when we do our live streams, if you look down on the bottom of the screen right now, you'll see that we still have just as much fun doing these live streams. So, when we do them in the studio, sometimes these live streams can last 6 hours, 7 hours long. Even when I do them from home, they'll typically go anywhere from, 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours or 5 hours, depending on, what's going on and the energy level that I have and that sort of thing. But addicted, if it's not obvious here. But one thing that really has me going with live streams is that, 1, they're exciting. Right? When that button goes, or when that light turns on, when you hit the button and the light turns on and you're live, it's exciting because right there you're put on the spot. You have people looking at you, one person in the stream or 100 people in the stream, whatever it happens to be. But it's exciting because you're right there and you're put on the spot. So your adrenaline rises. You can generate leads from live streams. You can generate sales from live streams, and you can build a community around live streams. So those are why live streaming is a big deal for me. And through this presentation and the stuff that I'm going to be talking about here, I hope that you can see how you can use live streaming as well. And I hope that you also use live streaming for the huge opportunity that it is. So what we're going to be talking about as we go through this is we're going to be talking about how live streaming can benefit you. We're going to be talking about things to consider before you live stream. We're going to talk about how to increase engagement in your live streams, best practices for live streams and course, because that's important. And we're going to talk about tips for new live streamers. So let's start with how live streaming can benefit you. So first off, watch time on YouTube is extremely important, and viewers spend 8 times longer watching live videos than on-demand videos, according to Tubular Insights, which is really interesting information. Now, of course, depending on your stream, how good you are at keeping people's attention, all of that is going to change. And of course, depending on how you're packaging your live stream or formatting your live stream, that can also change. And in some cases, live streams will be very active while they're live, and then after it's not live anymore, then it just kind of dies off. Other live streams, based on their structure and format, will be good forever. They're good while they're live. They're also good as replay video content as well. But overall, they're great because they typically go for a longer period of time, so they're great for getting that additional watch time. And according to YouTube, the longer you keep people watching, the more your content may get surfaced. So it's really important, and I'm going to talk about this in detail later, but it's really important to make sure that you're thinking about how you're packaging your live streams and what it is that you're offering in your live streams and what people get on the replay, so that you can make sure that how people are responding to it after you're not live is also going to be advantageous to you. And this is just another example, in terms of YouTube just giving us clear information here. Views are up 30% of viewers are watching longer, right? Getting people to click and watch is a thing on YouTube, and the better you get at both of those things, the better off that you are when it comes to YouTube's algorithms. But another thing when it comes to live and how it can benefit you is it deepens your relationship with your viewers. So there's something called parasocial interaction, and basically parasocial interaction, it refers to any kind of psychological relationship experienced by members of an audience. Let me do it this way. Parasocial interaction is the idea of one-sided relationships, okay? So in Hollywood, this is framed in a way to where, like, let's say that you are watching your favorite TV show and you have this favorite character in that TV show. If you were to see them in the street, you would think, based on the nuances of their personality that they play in the show, that that is who they kind of are in real life. So if you were to walk up to that person, you might feel, one, like you know them, but you would actually know the character. You might also feel like you would understand the nuances of their personality, even though they're just acting that part out, right? But with parasocial interaction, one of the things with it is it's extremely powerful for creating those relationships with your audience, because it's a one-sided relationship. It's so powerful, in fact, that millennial YouTube subscribers say that their favorite content creators understand them better than their friends. I'm going to say that one again, just for impact, because that's huge. Millennial YouTube subscribers say that their favorite content creators understand them better than their friends. Now, I want to let you know that their favorite content creators most likely are not even interacting with them in any other way except through maybe a comment here and there. Okay, but they're still getting that impact. 70% of teens admit that they can relate to creators more than traditional celebrities, right? And the reason for this is because when you are looking at the Hollywood perspective, right, where parasocial interaction and that idea first came to light, when you're looking at it from that perspective, typically when you're watching anything in a movie or a TV show, typically you're watching from a fly on the wall perspective, right? You are an observer watching things happen. But on YouTube, it's even more powerful because the viewer is directly involved in the conversation, right? The person on camera is talking to the person that is actually watching the video, which makes that much, much deeper of a connection and helps you deepen that relationship with your audience. Another thing that live streaming can do for you is it can create viewer-to-viewer relationships. So one thing that we've noticed on our live streams is that sure, people come in there to participate in our live streams and have fun with us and learn from us. But in addition to that, people also come to the live streams to chat with each other. And this is such a powerful thing that when people do not come to the live stream, and they typically do come to the live stream, they're part of our core group of people. We call them the Niminati, but they're part of our core group of people that are, really active in all the stuff that we do. And because of that, they've developed friendships through that as well, because they're always interacting with each other also. And one thing that we've noticed is this is so powerful by itself that it even creates accountability. So if somebody can't make the stream for some reason, sometimes people will actually put out a tweet and say, hey, sorry, I can't make the stream today. I have this other thing that I need to do, or I have this other obligation, or I'm not feeling good, or I didn't get a lot of sleep, whatever it happens to be. But it's so powerful, these viewer-to-viewer relationships, it's so powerful that people will actually send emails and tweets and things like that to let other people know in the community that they're not going to be able to make the live stream. So it can be really powerful in that regard as well when it comes to the community. It also creates additional community as well. So on YouTube, there are video viewers, there's live viewers, and then of course the crossover of people that are into a little bit of both, right? But you have the one audience that's video viewers, another audience that's live viewers. And with the video viewers, it's you plus them, right? Which is cool. It's you, and you have that parasocial relationship with, it's you and the viewer. You put out the content, they respond to it by watching and or interacting in the comment section, and you reply back in the comment section or not, depending on what it is that you're doing. But it's you plus them, right? When it comes to the live viewership, it's you plus them, plus they have each other as well. So because of that, you create that stronger community, because it's not just based around you. It's based around you and the content that you're putting out, but it's also based around the other people that are in that community as well. The accountability thing, like I was talking about before, in terms of people feeling like, hey, if I'm not going to show up, I need to at least let some people know that I'm not going to be there, so people don't get worried that I'm not a part of the stream today. And in addition to that, you also have belonging. It creates a sense of belonging, because when you create that environment to where it's like, hey, this is a place for you. You're this type of person. You're the type of person I'm trying to reach with my videos. You're the type of person that I'm trying to help. You're the type of person that I want to see succeed, or whatever type of content it is that you're making that this would apply to. It creates that sense of belonging, because those people in the stream, they're all interested in the same topic or the same types of things. That's why they are participating in your community in the first place. So because of that, it gives people something that they can belong to, which is also really powerful when it comes on the community side of things. Another thing with live streaming is, of course, it can create additional revenue for you. So on the live stream replays, of course, you get more ad placements, because the live streams are more than 10 minutes in most cases. So if your live stream or video content is longer than 10 minutes on YouTube, then you get to add additional ad placements. So you can add them in the video. You can add them after the video as well, instead of just before the video. So because of that, you can create more ad revenue in general just by putting additional ad spots in your video. But one thing that I do warn is, it's real easy to go overboard with this. Try not to, especially if your stream isn't that long. Just respect the viewer experience, because the better you make things for the viewers, the more they'll keep coming back. But YouTube has done studies on this, and they found that in most cases, the in-stream ads actually do not negatively impact the video itself. So just as a heads up on that, but this is a great way that you can make some easy additional money on your live streams. In addition to that, on YouTube specifically, there's something called Super Chat. And what Super Chat is it's basically the ability for your viewers or your audience to donate to what it is that you're doing. Now, if you are offering any type of service or any type of information, then this can be really good for generating income, because like in this situation, one thing that we do is we will answer our YouTube questions, right? And we have a form that we go through that I will show you here later in the presentation. But there's a form that we have people fill out, and we answer questions for free, right? Like, we do it for free because we're just there to help people. But if somebody's willing to put skin in the game, in our situation, if they're willing to give a super chat to get their question moved to the front, then by all means, we're going to move them to the front because they're putting in a little bit extra. And then because of that, we're like, okay, well, you're going to get priority service here because we don't even know if the people that put in the questions in the form are even still hanging out in the live stream or not, right? Now, another thing with this is people also use super chats as a way to bring attention to themselves, but they also do it as a way to thank you. So if you're putting out content that's adding value to people in some way, then if they're getting a lot of value from what it is that you're doing, sometimes people will come in and they'll just give a, $5. Hey, love your channel. Thanks for the content. Everything you're doing is fantastic. It's helping me out a lot. Or they'll just say, hey, thanks for the content. Love your channel, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll drop, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, depending on who it is and what it is they're thanking you for. They'll drop money as a super chat during your live stream. So it can create that additional income. You can also find that live streams generate more channel memberships. With the channel members that I have, most of them are generated from the live streams. And that's because during the live streams, it gives me the opportunity to constantly say things like, for our members that we did a live stream for XYZ, or I have free things available for channel members, or if you would like to become a channel member, make sure you check the community feed and join our free Facebook group for channel members. Right? Things like that. So it basically just gives you the opportunity to mention that you are doing something. But in addition to that, it also gives them a little badge next to their name. So it's kind of like I don't know if seniority would be the right thing, but it's just a way that your true fans and the people that are active in your community can get recognized from being a participant in your live stream. Next thing, of course, after the increased channel memberships is increased affiliate sales. So if you're promoting anything as an affiliate, of course, making sure that you're doing demos and that you're mentioning it a lot during your live streams is going to naturally bring more affiliate sales. So one example of this that we have is we have books that are on the desk during our live stream. And people are constantly asking through the live stream, hey, what are those books on your desk? What are the books on your desk? What are the books on your desk? Where we tell them, and we do this when he comes in too, but when he comes into the stream or when they ask, we'll show this on the screen and we'll say, hey, this is Brian G. Johnson's book, To Ritual, to help you go from 0 to 5,000 subscribers and more, because it teaches you all the best practices and so on. And basically, by doing this, one, Brian's a good friend of mine, so I'm bringing attention to his book. Two, it's available on Amazon. So if people go into the description and they want to find out more about that book, not only might they buy that book, which people do buy directly from the live streams, but not only do they buy that book, but also if they do any shopping on Amazon over the next 24 hours after clicking on that link, then I'll get a commission of anything it is that they buy. So because of that, just having those things on the desk where people will ask for them and having these slides up on the screen, it helps generate additional affiliate revenue. Same exact thing goes for our show sponsor, which is TubeBuddy, which is a browser plugin for YouTube content creators. If you're a YouTuber, you should have it. If you're doing anything on YouTube, you need it. But basically, with them, that also gives us the opportunity to mention them a lot, even though they're a sponsor, to mention them a lot, bring attention to the affiliate links, which they allow me to still have in the streams, and also showcase the tool from time to time. And we found that if you showcase whatever it is that you're trying to bring attention to, then it will, of course, drive more sales to it. Also, additional sponsorship options come from live streams. So, of course, if you are a content creator and you're somebody that's doing actual content for YouTube in terms of I'm trying to go YouTube channel and I'm into the whole YouTube thing, not necessarily that you are, a marketer, then in that situation, sponsorships might end up being one of the major things that you do for your YouTube channel as your channel grows. But if you're a marketer, your approach might be a little bit different. You may or may not use sponsorships. But if you do, live streaming creates additional sponsorship opportunities for you. So you'll see in this example right here how we have the TubeBuddy logo down on the bottom. We also have the TubeBuddy URL up there in the background. And then right there on the TV, we have our logo. But on that logo, it actually changes back and forth between the name of our show and the TubeBuddy logo. You can see right here how we've designed the set when we were putting it all together. And this was my brother D's work. He's over in the bottom left-hand corner there. But basically how this was designed is, if you look up here in the very top left, the graphics here where it says follow D everywhere and follow Nick everywhere, if we want, we can actually change those into ad spots to where we give some type of promotion there for companies. Of course, the one that I showed you right here in the middle of the screen, we have TubeBuddy there in the background, and then we have it there on the bottom. And then if you look on the very bottom left and bottom right, the panels that we have behind us, those are made, and we haven't put these to use yet because we don't want to just hammer people with sponsored stuff at this point in time anyway. But basically these were put up there with Velcro. In these particular spots right here, we can actually take these down and we can have printed like squares, kind of like we have on the TubeBuddy sign up there in the front, and we can actually put those behind us for additional ad spots as well. So in terms of additional sponsorships, it really opens you up for different things that you can do, especially if you're doing different scenes within your live streaming setup that allow you to do that sort of thing graphically or whatever it happens to be. But also, when it comes to live streaming, it can be a fantastic lead generator. There's something magical, especially if you are a marketer, if you're selling any types of product or service, there's something magical that happens when you can sit on a live stream for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, whatever it happens to be, and demonstrate your expertise over and over and over again, week after week after week. There's something magical that happens there when somebody can just come into your chat room, and you don't have to have a lot of people for this either. If you have 5 people in your chat and they are the right people that would be a good customer for you, and they're asking you questions based on your area of expertise, and you're able to help them troubleshoot their problems right there live, and you're able to work all of that out right there on a live stream. What that does is it shows that not only do you know your material, but you know your material so in and out that you can freestyle the information and you can workshop information right there on the spot and come up with real-time actionable solutions for people right there during your live stream. If you can do that in a live stream, imagine what you can do if you have some time to actually sit back and think about a strategy that you have for somebody, or, you know, like a real demonstration of your product, or, you know, an on-call presentation of the services that you offer, or whatever it happens to be. But being able to do that while you're live and demonstrate your area of expertise or your area of passion can do wonders for you in terms of being able to connect with an audience or other opportunities from people that could be participating in your live stream, because you never know who's watching. One thing that helps generate the leads, of course, is while you're live streaming, if you do have specific products and services that you offer, let people know. Make sure you let people know during your live streams that you do have those products and services available. On YouTube, they actually have an area underneath all of the videos where you can put links directly to like a contact page or something like that. But you always want to let people know that you have products and services available if you have products and services that you can, that you can offer from your live streams. Now, in addition to this, on the lead gen side, we have something, and I actually recommend this later in the presentation, but we have something that we use inside of Google Forms to where when somebody comes in and they asks us questions, we actually do this as a way to stay organized. It also gives us the opportunity to promote stuff. Like up here in the very top of our form, you'll say, hey, did you know Nick has a podcast? You can get it here, so on and so forth. And we can use this as a promotional tool. And we're using this to collect information on what's important to the people that are interacting with our YouTube channels, right? So the really cool thing about these forms is, of course, you can put in any information that you want to where, here you can see we have, hey, put a link to your channel, how many times a week do you upload, how long have you been making videos, but you can qualify people all the way through. And the really cool thing about using forms for this is, one, it's going to help if you do end up answering questions on your live streams, and that is the thing that you do, you can download this directly into a CSV, and then you have all of this data at your fingertips on the things that are important to the people that are participating in your content. So of course you would cater all of this to the type of content that you make and to what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your channel and all of those details. However, this is a gold mine for video ideas, you could even set this up where you're collecting emails through it, right? Just let people know, hey, put your email. If you want me to get back to you, if you're interested in whatever my product or service is, just put your email in this form right here, and then I'll contact you. Or have a little checkbox. Yes, I want you to contact me. No, I don't want you to contact me about your services. Now, another thing, of course, that is beneficial to you when it comes to live streams is direct product sales. Now, I'm going to show you just two examples here that are just real easy to identify. So the very first one up in the top right-hand corner is where I just let people know that I have merch available, right? Get it in your description. So because of that, I sell YouTube merch through my live streams by people seeing that and deciding that, hey, this is, hey, add value. I dig that shirt. I'm going to get it. And I have these on rotation in my live stream, so it shows different ones all the time. In addition to that, I have another digital thing that I promote where it's basically like an iPad video planner. And with that also, that's up there on the screen, and it drives sales to the website, drives traffic to the website, where then people ultimately end up buying this just because I have it here on the screen and I'm using my live streams to spread awareness about it. Now, another way that live streaming can benefit you is it's fast and easy content to make, right? So of course, with video content, it can take time. It can take you an hour just to write a script, or it can take you 30 minutes or an hour to record a talking head video. And then let's not even talk about the hours and hours and hours that it can take to edit it, right? So because of that, it's just fast and easy content to make. Unfortunately, people lean on live streaming because it's fast and easy content to make, and that's the only reason they're going live. But it's really important, even though that it's fast and easy content to make, it's really important that you keep in mind that the viewer still has to get something out of it. It still has to be good enough to where it can bring you traffic long term and not just on the spot. So if you're not doing video content and the only thing that you're doing is live, I really recommend that you make sure, and I'm going to tell you more in detail about this later, but it's really important to make sure that you're putting your live stream together in a way to where it's kind of like a video. You're just happen to be recording it live and everything's real tight, so it creates a really good viewer experience. But a bonus is that it is fast and easy content to make. Another win is that if you have a team or you have moderators or anything like that, it gives you the opportunity to really put a highlight on them and thank the people, including your audience, right? Including the people that are actually interacting with your content all the time, to actually thank the people that are also involved in what it is that you're doing publicly and give some recognition to, the people that help you do what you do. And then, of course, easy to spread awareness about new things. So just like I was showing you with the planner thing, it lets you, that was my way of letting people know, hey, I have this available now. When I started my podcast, same thing. Now that pops up in the live streams, letting people know, hey, Nick's got a podcast called Comments Over Coffee. And then I, of course, anytime this pops up or when I notice it, then it also reminds me, because I have a preview screen, it reminds me to actually verbally let people know, just in case somebody's listening to it in the background, to let people know that I do have something like that available. So if they're interested in it, then they can go listen to it. But all of that is great and tons of benefits to live streaming, as you can tell. But the big question that you really have to consider is live streaming the right choice for you? So because of that, I want to just give you some things to consider when you are going live. So first, does live streaming fit into your channel goals? Now again, because it's easy content to make, a lot of people will lean on live streaming just because, hey, I can go live, put out a piece of content, I'm done. I don't have to really do much afterwards, right? And because of that, it can actually train people to be a little bit lazy about the content they're putting out. And because of that, they end up not getting much results because of it. So you want to think about, does live streaming fit into my channel goals? And if so, how? And how can I apply it to what it is that's going on with my channel? It's also important to consider the goal of your stream. So if you're going to live stream again, sure, I'm going to put out a piece of content just to make easy content, but what is it that you really want? Like, what is it that you're really trying to accomplish with your live stream? Are you trying to demonstrate your expertise so that you can generate leads or sales? Are you trying to show your expertise so you can get different opportunities? Are you doing it for the sake of just connecting with your community, just for the sake of having the ability to go live and have those direct conversations with the people that are watching your content? Like, is that your goal? If so, it's totally fine, but it's a reason that you're live streaming, and therefore it will drive you to make sure that you're at least staying on a schedule. Another thing is it's important to consider what kind of show that you're going to do. So if you're thinking of live streaming, really put some thought into it, because live streams can be as lame or as cool as you want them to be. So it's really important to just think through what kind of show that you'll do so that you can know exactly what you're going to offer your audience. And you can also work in, hey, if my goal of the stream is this, then what kind of show can I do that will help facilitate me accomplishing that goal? Okay. Another thing is, what's your platform of choice? I'm I'm just crazy about YouTube. I absolutely love YouTube. It's my platform of choice, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you. Depending on where your audience is, or depending on the platform that you like better, or depending on, where you might get better results, it's really important just to make sure that you're streaming on the right platform. YouTube's amazing, and there's so much long-term value with YouTube. However, maybe for whatever reason, you just love Facebook and the people that you're trying to reach are on Facebook. Then in that case, just stream on Facebook, dabble in YouTube, but stream seriously on Facebook, and then let YouTube be the thing that you kind of do on the side, and then try to build that up when it's more important to you, instead of feeling like, oh, I have to live stream on YouTube just because everybody's talking about live streaming on YouTube. Like, sit back and think it through. Where's my audience? What is it that I like more? Where is it that I like more? And what could I deliver on YouTube specifically to make sure that it's a good fit for the platform itself in terms of replay value and that sort of thing, and just to make sure that I'm enjoying what it is that I'm doing. Another thing is, it's really important to think about the relevance of your stream to your audience. So when it comes to live streaming, a lot of people blow it. And they blow it because they will, and I'll use like a tech channel as an example for this one. So sometimes, like a tech channel, they'll build up an audience around tech, and then they'll go live, and then they complain that the live streams did poorly. And when you go and you watch a live stream, it's just them hanging out talking about everything except tech, right? So what happens there is you create an audience of people that are interested in a particular thing, and then you go live just to hang out, but you don't really talk about that thing that they subscribe to you for. So because of that, it's just important to think about the relevance of the stream that you're doing and the stuff that you're going to be doing or talking about in the stream. It's important to think of how relevant that is to the audience. So for example, like you can see in this image right here, how there's somebody, streaming through the DSLR and they're doing cooking. So you could do that same exact thing. If you had recipe videos and things like that, you don't have to just sit at a desk and stare at your camera. Like you could do it in your kitchen. You can do it anywhere. Just make sure that it's relevant to the content and the audience that you're trying to reach, instead of going live just for the sake of going live. So that big tip, just to kind of reframe that, or just to put a big highlight on it, is to keep your streams in alignment with the type of content that you create, right? It's an easy takeaway. And then another consideration, of course, is the tech, okay? Now, when it comes to the tech, I'm going to tell you, and everybody else is probably going to tell you, and you're going to hear that a lot through all the presentations that you're watching here, that just go live with your phone. That's all you need, and you'll be fine. That's true to an extent, right? That's definitely true, because phones are amazing these days, and it is important that you get started and you don't let the tech that you're using hinder you from actually taking steps in the right direction. But quality is important. 67% of people surveyed said that poor quality broadcasts would prevent them from watching live streams from a brand in the future. So because of that, if you're live streaming professionally, if you're a professional and you're adding live streams to what it is that you're doing because you are a professional and you're doing it for professional reasons, consider making sure that the quality is up to par. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to do like this big production. It just has to be acceptable. When you're live streaming, there needs to be enough light. The camera needs to be stable. You need to have enough audio to where it sounds at least decent. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to sound like you're in a radio studio, but it has to sound decent to where people can clearly hear what's going on. There's not a lot of crazy stuff going on in the background that's going to distract people from what it is that you're doing. Now, you can do this cheap. On Logitech, I streamed with this camera for a really long time from home. I actually still have it hooked up as a backup in case my DSLR goes down. But you can get these now for like $75 on Amazon. It's a Logitech C922, and this right here is shot with it. Of course, I had to blow this up, so the actual quality here isn't going to be that great. But that Logitech C922, it was so good that after I would do like podcast interviews or I would do some live streams, I would have people ask me specifically, hey, what DSLR are you using to live stream? Just because I lit myself properly. I used studio lights to light me. I did all the stuff in the background to make it all, have some depth to it and all of that, but to make it all look good. But the actual camera that I was using was like a $75 camera. and it worked great for a really long time. And to be honest with you, it still works, but I just happen to use the other one just because I upgraded, and I don't want to not use it because I upgraded. But you got to make a call when it comes to tech on if you're going to go with something like that, or if you're going to go with like a nicer, DSLR type camera. If you go with a nicer DSLR type camera, it's going to cost you more. But if you are a professional, and you don't have to go like as big as this one, you'll see if you look over my shoulder there on the right hand side, you'll see a little white camera over my monitor. That's actually a Canon M50. That's what I go with live most of the time. So in that situation, that M50 is fine. Nowadays, people are recommending the Sony A5100, I believe it is, for the live streaming, just because you don't have to have additional software in order to keep the camera awake. So just look around a little bit in terms of the options. You don't have to go really big with multiple cameras and an expensive DSLR, but you do need to bring at least acceptable quality to what it is that you're doing. And then, of course, the other option is going like full studio, where you build this whole setup in your basement or your garage or wherever it happens to be. This one actually happens to be in a condo that we rented out, and you build this thing, and then you get all these cameras and all this, gear for it. You got a guest on and things like that. Like, you can go any way that you go, but one of the things that you need to consider is, what is it that I can do right now? And if this is what I can do right now, what is it that I actually want to build this into? Do I want it to eventually be something to where it's in a studio, or do I just want to keep it intimate with just me sitting in my home, relaxing, talking to the people that care about this particular topic, or that like to watch the content that I put out on my channel, right? So those are things that you need to consider, and think long-term on this too. So now I'm going to talk to you about increasing audience interaction. I'm going to share with you some things that we do in order to increase audience interaction. Plus, it just makes it more fun for us. But the really fun thing with audience interaction is it helps in terms of the community building side of things, and helps keep people involved, and people share as well. So through the things that I'm getting ready to tell you, it's also going to bring some additional benefit to you as well if you decide to go live. So the very first thing on the list is, of course, to ask questions with hashtag replies, or hashtags really optional. You can just ask for replies. You can just say, hey, if you're enjoying the stream, if you understood what I just talked about, give me a yes in the chat, and then your chat will start having a bunch of yeses in it. So just ask questions, and then ask the audience a simple like yes or no, or tomato, or apples and oranges, or whatever your question happens to be. Hey, if you're an iPhone user, type iPhone. If you're an Android user, type Android, right? So depending on the type of content you make, just ask simple questions that people can easily reply to. And the cool thing about this is you take somebody that might be leaning back watching, and they're getting a little bit bored because they're just sitting there watching your live stream, and even though they're digging the information, or they think you're funny, or whatever it happens to be, they just, they're humans, so they're starting to tune out a little bit. So by doing this, you are giving them the opportunity to re-engage with what it is that you're doing. They're moving around a little bit. They have to actually put their hands on the keyboard to type the reply, and all of those things, so it gets them more actively involved in what it is that you're doing as well. Another thing is to share pics of them watching on social media, right? Now, as an example, you can see here, basically these are people just sharing pictures of them watching our live streams. And one of the things that's cool about this is it shows you, one, who's watching your live streams, right? And two, it also just gives you some insight into the people that are watching your live streams, and they dig the whole thing enough that they're actually willing to post a picture on social media showing, them with your screen in the background. So it's really cool, and it just gives you a lot of insight, again, into who's watching your content and the people that are going the extra mile. And the cool thing with this is it also helps you recognize those people that go the extra mile. So for the people that are going the extra mile, you can make sure, because you'll see them doing this sort of thing a lot, and you can make sure, hey, if I notice these people, like as your channel grows, all these things start getting a lot more difficult to manage in terms of community. So when you see something like this, you can say, okay, I noticed this person, all these people here are tweeting. So, you might want to give them a little bit of extra love, like in the next live stream, mention, such and such, thanks for tweeting. But one thing that we do, or one way that we use this also, is if the numbers are starting to go down a little bit, we'll actually do a call to action to do this. And we'll say, hey, tweet it out. And then we'll actually pull it up on the screen while we're live streaming. And my brother will say something along the lines of, hey, thanks, Mike, for, for tweeting this out. And he'll show the picture, hey, thanks, Roger, for showing this, for doing this. Thanks, Jeff, for, sharing this out. And basically, it gives us the opportunity to highlight people for being active in our community and also taking those extra steps. And I'm not sure if you noticed or not, but we have a parrot that watches our live stream from time to time. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. So another awesome thing about that is it's just, it's you having fun while bringing more exposure to you, right? It's you having fun. It's your audience having fun. It's everybody having a good time, sharing pictures and tweeting stuff out and all of that, while at the same time bringing more exposure to what it is that you're doing through the content that they're sharing. So it's kind of their way of promoting you and being involved with what it is that you're doing, but it's also your way of, helping your audience that's into what it is that you're doing participate at a deeper or more committed level to what it is that you are doing with your content. Another thing that you can do to increase interaction on your live streams is to crowdsource engagement. So one of the things that we found to be really helpful when it comes to increasing interaction on the live streams is simply presenting a problem. Hey, this person is having this particular problem, or we are having this particular problem, and then you pretty much crowdsource for a solution. You ask the chat, hey, what would you do in this situation? And then people will start interacting with you there as well. So that kind of falls just like the ask question one does, to where somebody's sitting back. Now, not only do they have to lean forward and type what it is that they're thinking, but they also have to actually think. So it's not just a simple yes or no. In this situation, people are literally writing solutions to problems that you're having or that somebody else in the community is having. So by doing this, what you are creating is you're creating them being more engaged because they're helping you actually solve problems. So one, it can be a fix for your problem because crowdsourcing your audience will also help you come up with things that you wouldn't have even thought of. For example, our name that we use for our community, the Niminati, that came from a live stream, and that came from somebody actually putting that into a live stream as a suggestion for the name. So extremely valuable there all the way around. Another thing that you can do, of course, is actual live participation. So one thing that we've experimented with is call-in shows and having people join on screen. Both of them are fantastic. I can say that in our specific situation, I can't say that it's this way for everybody, but in our specific situation, we do notice that after a certain period of time, usually about 5 minutes on a call, that our live viewership will start taking a decline. So because of that, we try to wrap the calls up relatively quick when we do that. But it is a way to where it gives your viewers the opportunity to actually just call in. And I have a video showing how to set all this up on my channel if you are wanting to learn how to set up a call-in show. But basically, when you are doing that, it gives your audience a way to literally be in your live stream with you. So they can call in, or of course, if you are streaming and you wanted to bring them on screen, then of course there's solutions for that as well. Now I want to talk about the best practices when it comes to going live on YouTube. So of course, when you are doing live streams on YouTube, you want to consider the replay value and the experience, like the replay value and experience that the viewers are going to have when they're watching your live stream. So an example that I like to give for this is if you look at my video uploads page, you're going to see that I've got a bunch of live streams on there. You can identify them by the Nimin Live graphic on the screen. And actually pull that up right here. Boom. Those are the live streams. And you'll notice here that on my channel page, I'm not showing those. And the reason for that is because I'm considering the viewer, right? So if somebody goes to my channel page because they watched one of my videos and they're wanting to learn more about me and what it is that I do and the type of content that I have that's going to help them solve their problems, I don't want them to be interrupted with a live stream. So I used to have at the top, I used to have it to where it was uploads at the top so that it could show what's current on the channel. But now I have it to where it says Nick Nimin's most recent video YouTube tips. And there, the reason that that's there is so that I can exclude my live streams. So when I publish a new video, I'll add it to that playlist so that it goes here on the channel page, but the live streams don't get added automatically like they would on the upload option here for the playlist. So because of that, I'm 100% considering the viewer experience. So they watch a video, they come to the channel page. What are they probably looking for? Well, most likely, if they've never been to my channel before and it's a new viewer, if they land on my channel page after watching a video, they're probably looking for more YouTube help content. So because of that, I need to make sure that I'm giving them YouTube help content when they land on my channel page, right? So that's the thinking behind that. Now, an alternative to that is if you're familiar with the Video Influencers channel, and if you're not, you should be, because these guys are awesome. They know their stuff and they're amazing at what it is that they do. But if you look here, their live streams that I have circled on the screen, theirs are a lot different than mine. Because I'm going to go back to mine really quick, but you see I use a similar thumbnail with the exception of the group streams that we're doing. I'm experimenting with those. But for the most part, I use the same thumbnail for most of the live streams that we do. And on theirs, they have a fully custom thumbnail for their live streams. They have a little yellow bar on the side that brings attention that it's a live stream so that the people that are in their audience that dig their live streams, they can see, oh, hey, it's the VI show. So I'm going to definitely click on this so I can join, right? But each thumbnail has a very specific look to it, and it's also custom designed. Now, in addition to that thumbnail and the packaging that they're putting on it, they're also with their live streams where mine are just random hangouts, right? Random hangouts based on random topics to where I answer a bunch of different questions over the course of the live stream. Theirs are very focused. The live streams themselves, as you can see by the timestamps, 22 minutes, 37 minutes. They have some on here that are an hour. But basically what they're doing is they're making live streams that are packaged in a way that they can be consumed as video content. So the long-term value with what it is that they're doing is extremely high, even for people that have never been exposed to their channel before. So what they're doing here essentially is they're kind of recording a live video. So instead of mine being like a live stream hangout to where it's just a bunch of random stuff going on, theirs is very structured, very planned. They have guests on and they talk about a specific topic for the entirety of the live stream. So because of that, the replay value of these are just like any of the videos on their YouTube channel. And because of that, on their channel page, you can see here that they have their uploads playlist there at the top, and they include their live streams in there as well. So when it comes to best practices and considering the replay value and the viewer experience that's going to happen on your YouTube channel, it's really important to consider that whole thing and that flow, even in terms of, hey, if somebody's watching my channel, how would my live streams present to somebody that's not familiar with my content? So if it just happened to be that most recent video in this upload spot and somebody came in from one of my pieces of video content, then how would they interpret that if they're not familiar with my content? Would they think that most of my channel is that live stuff? I can tell you this, and I can guarantee you this. If they think that or not, if they click on that and they're not happy with it, there's a really good chance they're going to go and find something else. There's too much content on YouTube in order for them to waste time looking for what might be the right type of content on your channel when they know that they can just click around and find it in other ways. But again, really quick, make sure you subscribe to these guys. Awesome stuff. And get their book at the top of the screen. So another thing that you want to think about in terms of best practices when it comes to going live, you want to optimize your streams for discovery. What I mean by that is simply make sure you have your title filled out. Make sure you fill out your description. When you're writing your titles, make sure that you're targeting something, right, in terms of the interests of the people that you're trying to reach, that when they see your title, that they will think, hey, this is for me. I need to click on this. I'm going in. Make sure that you're optimizing just like you would a piece of video content on YouTube. Also, make sure that you're filling out the not for kids stuff. That's a requirement now because of the FTC. And also fill out any tags that you want to put in there. Of course, go ahead and add it to any playlist that you want. Once the stream is complete, you can come back and you can add an end screen. You can add cards to it, so if you mentioned things during your stream, then of course you can add cards to specific videos if you mention those. And of course on your end screen, you can recommend additional content and so on. And then of course, make sure that you consider your thumbnails as well. Because like I showed you on mine, I use a template, which isn't the best way to do it. And I do that so that when that template gets presented to people that are already in my audience on YouTube, they know to click on it. But The really good example of that is the Video Influencers channel, where they do it as an actual individual piece of content for every live stream that they're doing. But whichever approach you decide to take with your live streams, just make sure that you're even using custom thumbnails for it, so that you can make sure that you're packaging it in a way that people will either recognize it on the platform, or that new viewers will also be interested in come into your stream. So another thing that you want to do when it comes to best practices on YouTube, and I'm sure you're going to hear this a lot too, or you've heard it a lot during the presentations here, but start a show and stream it on a schedule. So what I mean by that, in terms of starting a show, is name it. Name it something. Make it part of your brand. Make it part of what it is that you do. Start a show, name it, and then do it on a regular basis. And what you're going to do there is you're going to create, one, an additional part of your brand. Two, you're also going to be consistent. And then over time, it might take a month, it might take a year, but over time, you are going to get people used to knowing that they can come to your channel at a certain day, at a certain time, or several days at several times, and consume content that they enjoy. So because of that, you want to name your show, and then you want to make it available specifically at certain days and times of the week. And then, of course, an optional thing is post-editing your stream. So inside of YouTube, they actually have a video editor. It's built in. And in their video editor in YouTube, you can go in, you can trim stuff out, you can trim off the front end. So let's say, for example, your stream starts and you're all over the place. You had tech problems, right? Because that happens. It's part of live streaming. Let's say that you have tech problems, your mic wasn't on, and you had to start the stream over. Then in that situation, what you can do is you can go in and you can just trim that part off. And then it's not a big deal. Trim that part off, it's done. Just keep in mind that when you do any edits on your live streams, that it also takes away the live stream chat replay as well. Now, if you're just starting out on YouTube, a couple of recommendations that I have for you, or a handful, I'll say, of recommendations that I have for you. The very first is see how your audience responds before you go big. And what I mean by that is how I was talking earlier about the camera that you're going to use, and if you're going to use a studio, and if you're going to do multiple cameras and stuff like that. If you're just getting into YouTube and content creation and live streaming, see how your audience responds before you go big. See how you respond, which I should have added that here too, but see how you respond before you go big as well. Because if you go out and you invest all this money in like equipment and cameras and all of that stuff, and then you've been streaming for a month and you're like, you know what, I'm just not feeling this live streaming thing anymore for whatever reason, then you're going to have a lot of regret for buying all that equipment. So because of that, I recommend that you see how your audience responds, because if they come in and they love it, even if it's just a few people, then that lets you know, okay, they're digging it. And then you, of course, will monitor how you're feeling about streaming as well. But basically you want to balance those two out and then make your decisions on the equipment you're going to buy and your commitment to live streaming. But again, going at a certain day and time is definitely something that you want to do to give yourself like at least a reasonable amount of time to try to get your audience familiar with what it is that you're doing. Another thing that I recommend is that you start with shorter streams. Now, I'm going to say this with a disclaimer. I didn't start with a short stream. I mean, my very first one it was like 30 minutes, but then after that, it was like 2 hours, and then it just kept getting longer. But basically, the reason I'm recommending that you start with shorter streams is, one, they're easier to manage. Two, they're better for the replay. Because a video with a timestamp on it of 30 minutes is going to, like, there's a commitment. If you see a timestamp on YouTube and on a video and it's for an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours, whatever it happens to be, that's a pretty big commitment. So you start with shorter streams, because one, that'll get you more familiar with the tech. Two, it will make it just easier for you to do the stream for that period of time. Three, it'll also help you be able to package your content in a way to where it's topic based instead of it just being kind of all over the place. But it'll just be much easier to organize and to maintain when you start with a shorter stream. But by all means, break that rule. By all means, if you're like, wow, this is amazing, and you're into it, by all means, break that rule to pieces if you want to. If you get into it and you're like, wow, this is great. Same thing with seeing how your audience responds before you go big. If you're really into it and you're like, yeah, this is great, then break that rule. Just go for it. But if you're like, hey, I'm just kind of seeing how this works out, testing the waters, then make sure you're paying close attention to your audience, and of course start with shorter streams. Another thing is, there's tons of stuff that you can buy when it comes to live streaming. Tons and tons and tons of stuff that you can buy. I recommend that you make audio your first investment. So what I mean by that, get a microphone, even if it plugs into your phone. If you're using your phone for live streaming, which again, you can do, you just have to make sure that you have enough lighting and that your audio is decent. And one of the things that's going to help you make sure that your audio is decent is by getting some type of external mic or just keeping your phone close enough to you that it can easily pick up the audio. But when it comes to actually buying stuff for your live stream, I really do recommend that you make audio your first investment. And the reason for that is just because audio is half of the experience. And people will leave a live stream if the audio sucks. If the audio is acceptable or it's good, then people will stick around. And even if the quality is lower, if the quality of the video is lower, people will stick around more. And I've proven this multiple times. But basically, people will stick around more if the video is of lower quality, but the audio is high quality. Another thing that's really important is if you offer services, like I was talking about before, it's really important to talk about them in the stream. This is for products or services. And the reason for this is just because, I mean, there's the rule, right? If you have the greatest hamburger in the world, but nobody knows that you have the greatest hamburger in the world, then it doesn't matter that you have the greatest hamburger in the world, right? Same thing goes with your product or services. So if you are putting all this time into live streaming and learning about live streaming and watching presentations on live streaming and all of that, but you're not letting people know about the products or services that you have because you're shy or you don't want to push it on anybody or anything like that, then I really strongly suggest that you push yourself past that and you find a way to talk about them in your stream. Now, you don't have to harp on for 10 minutes about the products and services that you offer, but just bring them up from time to time. You can even do it passively. Like, for example, if you offer web design services, you could say something along the lines of, yeah, so for a client that I build a website for, we XYZ. Or, hey, I'm going to show you something, this new thing that I learned. Let's say that you do graphic design. Hey, I'm going to show you this new thing that I learned while doing a design project for a client. Right, that can get you clients. Same thing goes if you do consulting. Hey, yeah, I was working with a client and we found out that if somebody does this, then they get X result. It basically just gives you the opportunity to passively breeze over the fact that you offer services by letting people know that you offer services, right? So using those examples, but that's a great way to do that. Same thing on your products. If you have products that you sell, then in that situation, you can do the same thing, even if it's affiliate, to where you work them into your stream in a way that's organic and not really cramming it down somebody's throat. Now, with that said, I do want to say, in fairness, that depending on the type of content or the type of stream that you have, if it's all focused around products and delivering products and showing people how to use all these different products and stuff, it's fine. Then in that case, talk about them the entire stream. But if you're doing something where you're just talking, and you're not really like showing a lot of stuff, then in that situation, try to find a way to organically work it in so that you can talk about it without necessarily cramming it down people's throat. But always put calls to action in what it is that you're doing and just spread awareness about everything, because that's the only way, and I can't stress it enough, that's the only way that people are going to know about the things that you do. Next up, have a Google form in the description for question management. So one thing that you're going to notice is when you start live streaming, like when you first start streaming, if you don't have a lot of people in your stream, it's not going to be that big of a deal. And it'll be really easy to manage. But as your streams start getting bigger and bigger, regardless of the platform you're on, there's going to come a tipping point to where it's going to be too much to manage in terms of a lot of people throwing questions at you and saying things, and you're going to have to read through the chat and figure out who's saying what, and is this a question or a statement, or are they just saying something? Like, you're going to have to figure all that out. So you can use a Google form down in the description of your live stream for people to ask questions. And this helps you go in the order received, and you can tell people in the chat, hey, go in the order, put your question in the form because I'm answering these in the order that they're received. As an example here, like I was showing you before, this is our doc that we use, our Google form. And in this, we basically have their channel name, a link to their channel for reference, how many times they upload, how long they've been making videos. Because my brother's a part of the stream and he shows people specifically how to master their mobile device. So in his situation, we have, if you're asking a mobile specific question, then make sure you put it here. And then we have a thing for their actual question itself. So through all of that, we're collecting a lot of information based on the types of people that are viewing, the things that they care about the most in terms of topics, how long most of the people have been on the platform, all of those kinds of things. And you can do the same, but more than all of it though is the management of the comments, because once you do hit that tipping point, it can get pretty crazy in terms of just trying to keep focused on what it is that you're saying, and also pay attention to the people that are participating in the stream with you. Another thing that I recommend is have a stream starting soon screen. This might sound basic, but basically a stream starting soon screen, all that is it's just a full screen graphic that just says stream starting soon. And the reason that you do this is because sometimes you are getting ready for the stream and you want to go live and there's like a delay somewhere, and that will just give you a little bit of time to, and it can just be on the screen for like a second if you want, but it can just give a little bit of time to where it lets the people know on the replay or while they're live that the stream is starting here in just a few. So have a stream starting soon screen. And when you have one, that doesn't mean that you necessarily have to use it with every stream, but have it and experiment with how you stream, because depending on you might start streaming and you might be able to come in hot. Like for me, for example, I always come in hot, and what I mean by that is high energy. I come in high energy, super focused, and when the stream first starts, when I hit the go live button, I have this thing that I do where I'm like, okay, waiting for the green, and I'll just kind of say that over and over again, because inside of YouTube, if you're a YouTuber, it's my audience, right? Inside of YouTube, they have a little thing that says like, you're live, but it used to be to where on the Stream Now page, to where it would turn a light green. So that was my thing, waiting for the green. But make sure that you have a stream starting soon screen just to experiment with, or that you have something like that. Also have a be right back screen. You're going to need this. So there's going to be times to where you have a tech issue right before your stream. You tested everything, you went away from your computer for an hour, you come back, something happened, and for whatever reason, something's not working the way that it's supposed to work. So because of that, I really recommend that you have a be right back screen. In addition to that, there's also going to be times to where you're going to come back, you're going to be dealing with some tech problem, or you're just going to be dealing with something else, and you're going to go right up to the minute that you're getting ready to go live, and you'll forget to use the bathroom. I mean, we'll just call it what it is. That's a thing, right? You'll forget to use the bathroom. So because of that, when that urge does present itself, then if you have a be right back screen, you can simply show it on the screen, and that lets people know, hey, taking a quick break, I'll be right back. And you'll be surprised, actually, the amount of viewers that will stick around through a be right back screen, because you would think that it would be the stroke of death, or however you want to call that, for the live stream. But in reality, people will stick around pretty good with a be right back stream. But you'll eventually need it. So because of that, I really recommend that you have one and it's ready to go. And with Ecamm, you can actually do a full scene. Just to talk on that again real quick. So on the starting soon screen, and the be right back screen inside of Ecamm, you can actually have a scene inside of Ecamm to where you can just click on that scene, and then that screen will pop up to where you have that graphic, so that it's just real easy to click on that, and then bam, it's there. Your mic is muted or off, and then you can go use the bathroom, whatever it is that you need to do, talk to your friend, tell your kid to get out of the room, whatever it happens to be. Then in that situation, having that be right back screen will be really valuable for you, but it's real easy to set up. Another thing is, if you're just starting out, is find trusted moderators from your community or your team. And the reason for that is because people will come into live streams. It's YouTube. There's a lot of kids on YouTube, a lot of people on there that are awesome, but there's also a lot of people there that don't really know, how to handle themselves or conduct themselves yet. And because of that, they'll come in, they'll troll, they'll say horrible things, or they'll just, pick on you or whatever it happens to be. So having a team or a person from your community or team that's a trusted moderator that will show up for your live streams is really valuable. Just because while you're streaming, it keeps you from having to manage the chat, which then will also help keep you focused on giving a better stream and a better experience for the people that are participating with you in your stream. But the next steps that we have here for you for live streaming is, the very first thing, of course, is confirm that streaming aligns with your goals. Right? You got to make sure before you stream that you're not streaming just for the sake of streaming, that you're streaming because it aligns with what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your YouTube channel or your business goals. Also make sure that you choose what method that you're going to use to stream. Okay. Choose the actual, am I going to go with my phone? Am I going to use a multi-camera setup? What is it that I'm going to use? And what do I need in order to make that happen? And then start putting it all together. Experiment with show formats. And what I mean by that is, you know, are you going to do a hangout? Are you going to do dedicated topic stuff? Or if you're doing if you're a recipe YouTube channel, just as an example here, if you're a YouTube channel that does recipes, are your live streams going to be where you're sitting in front of the camera, handwriting out recipes and kind of workshopping recipes with your community, and then you're going to make that recipe in your next video? Or are you going to just do it to where your camera's on and they can just hang out with you while you cook, and you're talking to them and you're talking about the food that you're putting and why you're adding the certain ingredients that you're in and things like that, right? So just experiment with the show formats for whatever type of content that you make until you figure out what's best for you. Of course, get audience feedback from all of the things that you're doing. Literally ask the people that are watching, hey, I'd love to get your feedback on this. I got a form down in the description below where I would love to get your thoughts on this particular stream. Get feedback, because that'll help lead you in the right direction. And of course, get comfortable and have fun. Live streaming can be extremely intimidating. It can be scary because there's no editing, right? So in a video, a lot of people are even afraid to get on video camera, right? They're afraid to go on video because they're afraid they might say something and look stupid, or maybe somebody will say something bad about them or something like that. And when it comes to live stream, that gets intensified because you can't edit anything out. Everything goes as it goes. So there's going to be a process that, if you're just getting started, there's going to be a process that you're going to go through to where you are like nervous about it, and before you live stream you're nervous, and then eventually you're going to get comfortable. And as all of that starts to happen, and as you're going through the whole process, it's going to all start being a lot more fun, a lot more entertaining for you. But don't let the uncomfortableness of live streaming and the scary thought of, you know, hey, what if I get on live and I mess up? Don't let that prevent you from live streaming, because everybody knows when you're watching a live stream that it's live. And because of that, people are extremely nice and kind about the errors that you make. So people overlook all kinds of things on live streams. Sometimes you'll be talking and you'll lose your train of thought. Other times you'll have tech problems and you'll think to yourself, "Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Why now? Why did my computer or why did this software update, and then now they changed something and I don't know where to find it to troubleshoot this?" And you're going to have these thoughts, but just keep in mind the people watching, they're there because of you. They're there because of the information that you're sharing. They're there because they dig what it is that you're doing and they want to participate. And because of that, just focus your fear, instead of thinking of it like, okay, I'm not going to go live because I'm afraid of being on the live stream and things going wrong. Instead of looking at it that way, turn it around and say, you know what, I'm going to go past my fear, because I know that I can add tons of value to the people that are watching. So I know that as long as I focus all of my energy and all of my efforts on making sure that I'm adding some type of value to the people that are watching my live streams, nothing else matters. All the things that can go wrong, all the things that I can say and mess up in the words that are coming out of my mouth, all the things that I can do there to screw it up, people will embrace that, and it won't be a big deal, as long as I'm adding tons and tons of value to the people that are participating in the stream. Okay. So just embrace that side of it and step away from the fear. Just kind of reframe how you're thinking about that, because you can do it. Like live streaming, like once you get into it, it's easy. It's just like having conversations with friends. Even if it's one-sided and you're only talking to yourself, it's still like having conversation with friends, because you know there's people there watching, you know there's people listening to what it is you're saying, just like you're on a video call. This is how you stay in touch with me. Of course, you can find me on YouTube at Nick Nimmin. You can email me with any questions at nick@nicknimmin.com. And of course, you can tweet at me or drop me a DM on Twitter at Nick Nimmin. Really, you can find me everywhere, all over the internet at Nick Nimmin. So I hope I added some type of value to you today. And thank you so much for sitting through this presentation. And I'd love to get your feedback on this presentation. Feel free to tweet me or to shoot me an email and just let me know if you got any takeaways from this, or any benefit that you happen to gain here from this presentation. So thank you so much for hanging out, and thank you Ecamm for this opportunity. And I will hopefully see you somewhere else. Take care.